Good morning. I decided, after much debate, to do my Stackathon project on 3D modeling of a yoga pose. I wanted to do something front-end, kind of graphics intensive. I thought it'd be fun. I also thought it would be interesting to learn, possibly useful later. So if you are unsure about alignment in a particular pose, you might, for example, Google, and you might get a bunch of images like this of varying sort of degrees of accuracy. I was going to criticize this woman because she looks like she's going to destroy her cervical spine, but then I noticed this picture, and I think that's actually BKS Iyengar, so maybe I shouldn't criticize her neck angle. But anyway, what I notice is that, and you will also notice, sorry, a little sleepy, so these are obviously two-dimensional images. And I thought it would be cool to have a representation of a correctly aligned asana that you could then turn and see in 3 dimensions. So I thought I might use 3JS, and I did some playing around with that, and this is a 3JS demo. You can ignore that. So building one thing in 3JS turns out to be fairly intricate. This is just a pure 3JS file. It's rendering a cylinder. The orbit controls, which should allow me to spin this cylinder just from dragging on the trackpad, are for some reason not working. I don't know, they were working earlier this morning. Maybe I broke my computer. But you actually have to position these on position each object on an XYZ grid. And I thought, even if I do a stick figure, I'm still going to be relating an awful lot of cylinders together in space, and the odds for making a mistake there seem pretty high. So I decided to use Blender. And if you Google about building a skeleton in 3JS, 90% rough survey of the Google results are about Blender anyway. So this is Blender. This is what you see. It's a totally free. It's beyond open source. It's free software. 3D. I mean, you could probably use it for 2D, but I don't know. I haven't tried. It's a way to build 3D models. It is not, it's built in Python. I didn't have to do any coding to use Blender, but there's a lot of, there are a lot of tools in Blender. And so it's extremely powerful, but it's also not terribly intuitive. So you can start with a shape like this, a cube, and then you can move it. You can maybe grab a vertex and distort it, for example. So using Blender, I built some models, which I then tried to render. I don't even know where I had my server open. Just a minute. Oh, yeah. So this is as far as I got. I will show you what the models look like in Blender, because they're far more impressive, I think. So this is upward-facing dog, what we just saw on that Google image search. It's rotating. This was the only aspect of orbit controls I could get to work. So at least you can see that the idea is you should be able to, with the trackpad or a mouse, actually control how that figure is moving. The figure is 3-dimensional, but I don't know if it's the texture that's on the figure or the lighting or what. I obviously would need to do a lot more tweaking to get it to actually look 3-dimensional. So I thought that it was going to be totally easy to export from Blender into a format readable by 3JS. It turned out to be not quite so easy. There were several interesting steps along the way, and until very early this morning, I didn't have anything besides the black 3JS canvas rendering. So I'm pretty excited that I have a figure there to show you. I will show you my models because Blender is super cool. I had a lot of fun building things with it. So here's my. Can you guys see that? Here's my 3D model. This is upward-facing dog. Again, I started with the cube, and as you can see, you can turn it around. You can see the alignment from the front, from the back. You could see the alignment from underneath if you want. And so in Blender, if I choose the wireframe mode, you can see, like, well, you can't see it very well, can you? That's kind of a bummer. Can you see anything, literally? All right. So maybe if I highlight the skeleton, you can see that. Okay, so that's actually the skeleton that's built inside my three-dimensional shape. And there's a way to join the mesh, the body shape, to the skeleton so that if I then say move part of the skeleton, the body comes with it. So that was pretty interesting. My skeleton has a lot of bones. I think she has 30 vertebrae, but I'll put it back on the solid so maybe you can see something. But as you can see now, I moved the arm so that model's right arm has now moved. So took a while. Not everything works, but I think it was, oh, thank you. That's better. It was a great way to explore Blender. And I think I was pretty close to being able to get, there you can see the skeleton again, that can move body parts with it. Pretty close to getting what I wanted happening. I think if I tweaked some values some more here and got the orbit controls working, it would be pretty close to what I wanted. And the last thing that I want to do is mention this book, a nice reference. It's what I was using to look at the alignment of the bones in the poses. Yeah, so that's my project.